Okay, there we go. Welcome to the Infinite Filmmaker afternoon webcast. My name is Rich Smith. I'm a filmmaker and a spiritual life coach. Today I'm going to talk about spiritual principle number 9 from my book, 52 Laws and Principles of the Infinite Filmmaker. What I do is I use a metaphor of life based on a movie created by an infinite filmmaker, and there's no limit to what it can create in your movie called life. So with that said, we're going to go to my book. Let me share my screen here. So principle number 9, your movie called life is eternal with no beginning and no end. Everything you do as a character in your life's movie has an eternal effect on the universal movie as a whole. What you create as an artist, writer, actor, musician, or filmmaker has a lasting impression on everyone that it touches. Long after you finish your part as a character in this movie, your work will continue to influence those who come after you. Leave behind a life that counts for something. So in my metaphor of life being a movie, I use the concept that there's a universal movie going on around you. And then there's your individual life's movie, and they're interconnected. That whatever you do in your movie called life affects the whole. And so therefore, you have to ask yourself, what is it that you want to leave behind for people to be able to use in their own life? Whether it's a song, whether it's a book, or music that you wrote. Could be a performance you did. That could be just a one-off play. People that see it, it affects them. And then they take their experience and share that with others through the way they react to it and the way they encompass the message that you were putting out there. So you do affect the whole. You affect the universal movie. You affect everything around you. There's something within you that you need to express. And that's why so many artists, I think, have a hard time getting a real job, is because they have this within them. They need to create, they need to express themselves. And so what they're needing to do is express the infinite filmmaker that's manifesting in and as and through them, that this urge that they have to create something is just the divine creator. You can call it whatever you want. I call it God, the infinite filmmaker. A religious person calls it God. Spiritual person calls it Christ consciousness or Buddha mind. Lao Tzu called it the Tao. George Lucas calls it the Force. Esther Hicks calls it source energy. Whatever you want to call it. It's the God of your understanding that I'm talking about. And you don't have to look out there for it. Everybody's looking out there for the answers to it. Who am I? Why am I here? How am I going to express myself? Why am I not able to create my art? Instead of looking within, that's where the infinite filmmaker lays. That's where the intelligence is within you. And you can tap into that and access that by practicing, the 52 laws and principles that I have in my book here. Of course, that's a, hard sell for my book, but they really work. These principles work. It took me 15 years to gather them all together, practice them in my life every day. I've used them to heal myself of a horrible disease that the doctors said couldn't be healed. I was able to marry my soulmate, purchase a car and other things when I had no credit and bad credit, living my life as a down and out filmmaker. I gradually evolved into being able to manifest pretty much whatever I want in my life through these principles. And so just by demonstrating, having a demonstration, it's sort of like when you start practicing these principles, you start to have little demonstrations, like you think about somebody and they'll call you on the phone. Or you need a parking space, and instead of running around looking for a parking space, you'll just sit there and wait for the space to open up, and one will open up almost immediately for you. It's almost like the divine is moving things around for your higher good, and it is. That there's no withholding from us of our good. The only thing that's holding us back from our good is our consciousness, our belief system. So if you're driving around looking for a parking space, thinking I can't find a parking space, so hard to park around here. There's no parking spaces left. What am I going to do? I can't find a place. Then that's what you're going to get. But when you sit there in complete conviction, knowing that you're working with an unlimited power and presence that's always fulfilling your needs, that's always answering your prayer request. Any thought that you have is a prayer request. And so because you understand that you're working with an unlimited power and presence that's available to you and it's not withholding anything, then you just sit there and wait. And then that energy and that vibration of, I know my good is coming to me and I'm open and receptive to it. All of a sudden that space will open up. So you have these small demonstrations like that. And then all of a sudden these demonstrations get bigger and bigger because it builds your faith. You know, it was the first assistant director, that's the Christ, who lived over 2,000 years ago, was a great metaphysician who just knew he was have such a high spiritual awareness that he could perform miracles and walk on water and turn water into wine and raise the dead and heal the sick, because his level of connection with the infinite, he called it God the Father, I call it the infinite filmmaker. His level of connection with that was so high and his belief was so strong that that he knew what his purpose was in life. You know, it was his purpose to come in and fulfill prophecy, to be able to, you know, a lot of Christians believe that, you know, he died for my sins. Whatever your belief is, that's not what I want to talk about here. What I want to talk about is the principles that he taught. And one of the principles he taught was that it's measured to you according to your belief. Or pick up your pallet and walk. It is your faith that has healed you. And so it's all about your faith and your belief. And when you start to practice these spiritual principles, you start to build your faith. You start to see demonstrations, things happening in your life. You know, like I say, I was able to get to the point where I could work with people and through consciousness, through my conscious connection with the infinite, I was able to have healings take place within people. There was one time I was at a meeting, a group meeting, and then one of the members said that his mom had a tumor, a lump, or something. They thought it was cancer, and she was going to have to go in for a test. And he was all upset. And when I heard this, I immediately went to the space of recognizing that she's one with the infinite. She's one with God, and her body temple is perfection. It's made to heal itself. And so when I do this kind of a work, I was able to just release any doubt that I had that my prayer was going to be answered. And when we were walking out of the meeting, I said to him, you know, don't worry about it. Your mom is going to be okay. And he said, yeah, I know, thinking that it was just me saying, you know, don't worry, your mom's going to be okay. Anyways, he came back the next week in the meeting and we asked how his mom was doing. And they said they got to the doctors and they took it, they went and couldn't find the bump or the lump anymore. It had mysteriously disappeared. And that's the way this kind of stuff works. Once you start doing the work here, you start to have more and more demonstrations. And after a while, you don't even ask for things for yourself because you know you can get them and you know that all of your needs are met. Like I feel like even though I don't have everything that I thought I wanted, I have everything I need right here and right now. And so that gives me the comfort of knowing that, you know, the work that I do is to work with other people. That gives me satisfaction, to help others demonstrate in their life. If you're an actor and you're sick and tired of struggling, trying to get into the union, and yet you can't get in the union because you don't have an agent, and you don't have an agent because you haven't had enough experience, or you haven't been in a feature film or a movie or a TV series or a commercial. You know, these beliefs are based on the idea that you're separated from it. You're separated from what I call infinite intelligence, God, the infinite filmmaker, that it's over here. And you're over here dealing with these other things like agents that won't support you, but they don't have the power. There's only one power, and that's the power and the presence of the infinite filmmaker creating the movie of your life. Everything comes from that source, and there's nothing being withheld. And so it's sort of like, if you think about it, that the light bulb is lit by electricity, but the light bulb itself doesn't have the power to give you the light. It's the source, it's the electricity that gives it the light. And so it is with the source, with everything. You plant a seed, an acorn, and it grows into this mighty oak tree. And within that seed is the potential of it to become an oak tree, not an apple tree, not an orange tree, but an oak tree. And the same thing with us as individuals, that we have within us potential to become something great and mighty like an oak tree. And that you have to, in order to be able to discover that, you have to go within through prayer, meditation, and affirmations, and just know that you are connected to it, and it is working in and as and through you, that we are divine emanations. We are individualized creations of the infinite, that we are divine, individualized emanations of the infinite, that it, whatever you want to call it, loves itself so much. It's the love intelligence of the universe, had no other choice but to express itself forward as everything in the universe, including you. And I look around me and I see all the abundance in the universe. I look at the oceans and the stars in the solar system, and the vegetation and the plants and the animal life and the human beings, and how they were created so perfectly to function, with eyes to be able to see. And within each and every one of us, there's a prototype for perfection. And that's what we have to call forward, is that perfection in who we are. So if you're out there as like an actor thinking that, oh, I want to do feature films, I don't want to do feature films. Well, maybe, just maybe, that your gift is to become a TV star. I mean, there's a lot of famous actors now that are doing TV, that things have shifted. The universe has shifted to a point where the network TVs aren't the power force anymore. It's the internet and YouTube and Twitter, and independent filmmakers were able to make their stuff and put it out there themselves. They don't have to depend upon anybody, knowing that the power was within them. The power is within the internet. But not only is it within the internet, it comes from another place, another source. So anyways, I don't know. I hope you get that. The reason I use this metaphor of life being a movie created by an infinite filmmaker is because it's really challenging to understand these metaphysical principles at some point. There's laws and principles. Just like a law is 2 and 2 is equal to 4. That's a mathematical law. E equals mc squared, scientific law. Gravity is the force of energy pulling you to the earth. And aerodynamic, the law of aerodynamics, where a certain amount of lift will lift a plane according to the speed. Well, those are physical laws, but there's also spiritual laws, like the law of attraction, the law of reciprocity. What you give out, you get to keep. It comes back to you. Life is a mirror. There's the law of cause and effect. These are spiritual laws, and you don't know. Like a scientist, when he develops a law, like E equals mc squared, he does the scientific tests, he examines it, and then he comes up with a formula and says that this is what energy is, E equals mc squared. Yet you can't see the energy, you can experience the results of the energy. And so it is too with spiritual principles and the laws that govern these principles, that you can't see them, but you just know they're there and they work. The law of attraction, you don't understand it, you don't see it, but you know that if you have thoughts, positive thoughts, and you focus on what you want, and you believe you're going to get it, then it'll come to you and you'll be able to get it. So that's what my 52 laws and principles are all about. Spiritual laws, spiritual principles, and you, and the creator of all it is, working together to create the life you desire to be living. I hope you enjoyed this webcast. I'm going to do it every afternoon around 4 o'clock. Seems like a good time for me. And I'm going to post it usually I do it on Facebook Live or YouTube, and you can watch a preview of it there. Just sign up for my Facebook group. It's The Infinite Filmmaker, or @InfiniteFilmmaker is the way you'll find it if you search the internet. Anyways, I could talk forever, but I should go. Okay, bless you all. See you tomorrow.